Sundance 2021 is over and it has been a crazy, exhausting experience. Hello everyone, my name is EJ Marino and welcome to Flickering Myth. Today we are diving in to my recap and review of Sundance Film Festival 2021. First and foremost, Sundance was way different this year than any other year. Even though this was my first time attending this festival, I could tell this was a very unique year. Since it wasn't in person, since it went all digital, it was going to be quite interesting. And how did it go? I will say I really enjoyed the experience. I thought it was handled very well from the critics' end. I thought they gave us nice updates. I thought it was handled well, like watching the films. Like I didn't really run into any lag issues. Every now and then you can tell when a movie was popping, like that Nick Cage movie. It would maybe lag or maybe the quality would go down just ever so slightly. But overall, it was a really great experience. Applause to everyone who made this happen. Applause to the filmmakers for getting their chance in the spotlight at Sundance. This is make or break for a lot of films. We are about to enter the award season coming up where we're honoring the films from last year. A lot of them premiered at Sundance from last year. So that's just showing you where this is going to go. And I think this year we had some Oscar contenders. So for this video, I'm going to be breaking down my hits, my misses, and the hidden gems from the festival. There is a lot to go over. And even though I didn't see all of the movies, I think I have some really good movies that you guys will need to watch in the future. First up in my hidden gems section is On the Count of Three. This was the darkest comedy I saw all weekend. It was pretty crazy. There was maybe more absurd comedies like Mother Schmuckers, which everyone hated, but there was nothing quite like On the Count of Three, a debut film from Gerald Carmichael, a great actor who is now going to be an even better director. He really showed me his point of view, what he wanted to say, what his style was going to be in this film. It has some great acting from him, from his co-star Christopher Abbott. Christopher Abbott is on a roll. Last year with like stuff like Black Baron, Possessor. Now with this, he had another film at the festival which well, not that great. It's the one with Casey Affleck and Catherine Waterston. It was not my favorite, but we're talking about the hidden gems, and we're talking about On the Count of Three. So Christopher Abbott was here. They also had some good like supporting performances from like J.B. Smoove and Tiffany Haddish, and Henry Winkler. His wig was bad, but he was pretty good. So yeah, this film had a lot to offer, and I enjoyed what was there. So let's get into some other ones. We also had a film that I reviewed on our channel, on the actual website, and it was 8 for Silver, a werewolf movie that was slightly different. It's hard to make werewolf movies new and refreshing. Maybe that's why we don't have as many iconic werewolf movies as we do like vampire movies or Frankenstein adaptations. But 8 for Silver is a pretty great movie. I think it's a little messy at times in the edit. Some of the CG can be rough, and I don't think it needs as many jump scares as it does because the movie's pretty creepy on its own. It doesn't need to scare me with a moment when you could just have the atmosphere, the sense of dread, the mystery, the horror that was presented here. It was there. Like, I liked what was here. It just needed like an extra coat of paint. Maybe this is a film that could have like the filmmakers maybe see the Sundance reaction, maybe re-edit it a little bit, and then have a masterpiece. Because it is here. There is something really good to offer. There is another film I actually enjoyed, and it was Wild Indian. Well, I slightly enjoyed it, because you will see it be in two sections right now. Yeah, I liked the idea of this film. It was a brutal experience. It was hard to watch, but it was also something that I think really says a lot about how we handle criminal cases on Native American reservations, how we look at men's mental illness, which was something I also noticed in the film On the Count of Three, was how we looked at how we handle men and their trauma, and maybe trying to face your demons before you become that demon. A common theme throughout so many films, and it was really encapsulated in Wild Indian. I just think the movie is not as perfect as it should be, and some people really didn't like it. When talking about that somewhat mixed reception for Wild Indian, let's go to the duds. We'll start off with Wild Indian. It seems some people thought the film was a little too bleak. There is some violence committed towards women that was pretty brutal. There's some stuff with kids. This movie isn't the easiest viewing. It's a little inaccessible. I think sometimes the acting from the supporting cast isn't as great. Michael Gray, yes, is pretty great, and Cheske Spencer is really good. He was the one who stole the show for me. It just doesn't come together for a perfect film. Much like Eight Fell Silver, where I think this has all the pieces, this one just let me down a little bit. Speaking of a letdown, oh, Passing. I really wanted to like Passing. It has everything I like. All the little pieces are there to make a movie EJ would eat up. I just didn't, though. There was just something about how it was paced. I thought it moved at a molasses speed. It was so slow, and I kept waiting for something, and I like a slow burn, but most slow burns give you nuggets throughout, maybe a little bit of sparks before it sets itself on fire. But this slow burn never caught fire, and when it does get a little explosive at the end, it's almost too late, and then that's the ending we get. I wasn't happy with this, and I know it's an adaptation of a novel some people like, so I respect that. This is a debut film from Rebecca Hall, which she has the makings of a film I would love. I just need it to be a tighter edit. I think the acting is really good here. It just didn't come together, and it seems some critics are pretty split on this one as well. I do see there is more praise than people not liking it, but there's something to be said about how people were kind of like, oh, that's it. And yeah, then the last film on my dud section, and this is something that more confused me. We have Land from Robin Wright. I thought the movie was fine. It just wasn't as... It felt been there, done that. It wasn't as original as I thought I would expect from Robin Wright, who I find to be a very original and a very interesting voice in our industry. Just the movie was just fine. And then I got a DVD screener for it for your consideration. I'm part of the Critics' Choice Association, so I get to vote on some stuff. I got a DVD for it today when I'm filming it. For this year's awards, there are so many people already casting ballots. I know the Oscars are pretty far out still, but there's some people already, like all the Critics' Choice Associations from around the country, like all these smaller groups, are already doing their awards, and it's not fair to her film to kind of get rushed out from Sundance when it wasn't even the biggest talking point. There's one movie that Apple bought this weekend that they could have rushed out this week, and it could be an Oscar contender. I just don't think Robin Wright's Land is that contender, and that really breaks my heart because I really like her, and I really wanted to like this movie. Okay, so let's get to the good, because this festival had a lot to offer from everything. Like, if you wanted weird werewolf movies, if you wanted political activist films, if you wanted a brand new coming of age story, there is a lot here. So we had Judas and the Black Messiah premiere. This one's a little tough because it was coming to streaming platforms soon. It was also being handled for the award stuff. So I saw this film before it was even coming to Sundance. So it's hard for me to call this a Sundance movie because my experience originally wasn't at Sundance, but it premiered here and it did pretty well. This film is going to be a major awards contender. Lakeith Stanfield and Daniel Kaluuya is just a combo you need in your life, and they are so good. This film is a punch. You're gonna get angry at politics, at the government, if you aren't already, but hey, it's here for you. This movie is very good. We also have a film that Apple picked up for $25 million, and it is Coda. Coda is a really heartwarming film. It's a coming-of-age story of a young girl who is living in a deaf family. Her mom, her dad, and her brother are deaf. She's the only hearing person there. So she is stuck in this world. She wants to have her own life, but she's also an integral part to her family's life, and she loves them, and she doesn't think they're really hindering her, but she wants to grow on her own, and her family loves her and wants that for her as well. She's just a teenager, and there's complications with being a teenager with being in a deaf family. So it's a really, really interesting look, and I can see why Apple picked this up. I'm glad they didn't rush it out, though. I'm glad they're going to sit on this, give it the hype, let it come out during maybe the summer or the fall of this year, and let it have its time to shine, because this was such a good film and I really enjoyed it, and that shocks me. There is one movie I didn't get the chance to see, but I have to include it because even if you don't like this movie or you're like me and didn't get the chance to see it, Mass is one of the biggest talking points from this festival. I had the unfortunate chance of missing this film, but Fran Kranz, I think his name is, he was the stoner guy in Cabin in the Woods, directed what is being described as one of the most heart-wrenching films. This stars two families who are on different points of view from a school shooting and how their kids' involvement were involved in and how it all unfolded. And these families are talking and letting everything out. I've heard nothing but praise from this film, so I had to include it because, again, even if you didn't like this movie, there is no doubt that you know this is going to be a buzzy award season movie. Is it a little Oscar baity? I'm sure it is. I'm sure it's exactly what you would expect from a film being meant for an awards kind of run, but it's still not to take away from how important it is. Now, to switch gears to a movie that maybe isn't as important, but equally as talked about, Prisoners of the Ghostland. Nicolas Cage had a movie premiere at Sundance, and it was crazy. I reviewed it here on the channel. You guys can check it out somewhere up here. I really like the film. I didn't love it, though. I think there is pieces that could have made this a masterpiece. Director Sion Sono is so talented, can make like some crazy films. This just wasn't as wild as I expected. Maybe his weirdness, and Nicolas Cage's weirdness kind of canceled each other out, and they made somewhat of a tolerable film, but that's still to say it's a good film. I really enjoyed it, and it was really buzzworthy. It's kind of crazy to see a film that's going to be a future cult classic walk away from Sundance as a big talking point. It's really cool. I know the film snobs out there are like, a Nicolas Cage movie from a weird horror Japanese director, what is going on here? But hey, this happens. This is what we need. These are the type of films I want to see at a festival. I want to see the weirdest of weird. I mean, there was some brutal films, like Coming Home in the Dark was another great film. It was brutal. It was hard to watch. It's still not as good as some of the other ones, but that's the type of stuff I want to see. So Prisoners of the Ghostland and things like even Coda, which I didn't expect to see here. It seems kind of awards friendly and Sundance friendly. It was still something striking. I walked away with so many good new films, and I cannot wait till they're unleashed into the world. All right, everyone, that was it for my Sundance 2021 recap and review. It was a great event, handled wonderfully with some amazing films. I really had the time of my life. I maybe have seen too many movies and probably just want to watch cartoons for the next week and a half to decompress from the heavy films, from the wild films, from all the films, but I am happy to be a part of it, and I'm happy to share it with you guys. All right, everyone, what did you think of this video? What do you guys think of these Sundance 2021 films? Let me know down in the comments below. Subscribe to Flickering Myth because we make videos like this every single week, and give me a thumbs up if you did enjoy this. All right, everyone, let's talk about Sundance down below.